Okay, guys, this is from Scientology Business. Scientology admits to child abuse at its UK headquarters, May 6, 2025, by Alexander Barnes Ross. Unfortunately, this is a statement from 20 years ago. A recently resurfaced witness statement submitted by a Scientology official to the Independent Inquiry on Child Abuse, ISCA, admits the controversial church were aware of child abuse within its UK chapters, and that the victim was forced to deal with her own guilt about what had happened. The statement provided by Scientology's UK legal officer, Massimo Angius, explains about 20 years ago, there was an incident reported to the police which resulted in a prosecution. The victim was given pastoral support and auditing to help her deal with the incident, including her own guilt about what happened. I don't know why that's put in here 2 times. It goes on to say, Scientology has implemented a robust snitching culture where staff members, like children, are required to report on each other, and that any would-be perpetrator in the church would know that it would be impossible to keep abuse secret for any period of time. Several ex-Scientologists who grew up at their St. Hill headquarters near East Grinstead have claimed that they were forbidden from contacting law enforcement after being abused as children, but that L. Ron Hubbard's ethics policies require the church to gather and hold evidence, which is subsequently used to cover up criminal activity. That's what I always talk about, the policies with child abuse written into them. I don't think Rinder ever talked about that. As part of the ISCA, which looked at systemic issues of child abuse in religious settings, Scientology were invited to provide evidence of their safeguarding policies and how any cases of abuse have been handled internally. A witness statement was provided by Mr. Angius, who at the time was a trustee of Scientology's UK corporate entity, an Australian registered nonprofit that operates exclusively in the UK, called Church of Scientology Religious Education College, Incorporated. I have myself been a member of a Scientology religious order known as the Sea Organization for 33 years. For 33 years. Trying to send out a code? It wasn't 34 years, it wasn't 36 years, it wasn't 35 years. It was 33, everyone. Because that's so pertinent to the crimes here, right? I am currently one of 3 trustees, and I have particular responsibility for legal matters. In my opinion, that's the cover-up, crew. And am the safeguarding lead, he explains at the start of his statement. All Scientologists are required to provide a written report, like children, to the ethics department of their local church should they notice anything wrong. Apparently, Kansas City didn't get that memo, though. I mean, I know we're in the UK, but I'm just saying. Talking about Reese Cabell. Even if it just matters that lead to a suspicion so that they can be investigated. He continues, Written reports may be preceded by a verbal report in case of emergency. Depending on the seriousness of the matter, reports may be passed up to senior ethics personnel. Wonder what Debbie Cook thought about all that. And further escalated to the legal officer, my equivalent in the local church. And its head reports may then be shared with East Grinstead, including myself, the person with overall responsibility for this area in the country. The person with overall responsibility. Angius was removed from paperwork filed with Companies House in 2022 that listed him as a director of several Scientology corporate entities, including Narconon, a drug rehabilitation center that came under fire for safeguarding concerns last year. The following month, he resigned from his role as a Koreki trustee, but is understood to still be working for the church as part of the Sea Org. After reviewing the document, a safeguarding expert told us the use of internal tribunals, confessionals, and ethics departments in place of external reporting mechanisms creates a closed culture, it's all by design, that prioritizes institutional protection over individual safety. Here we notice again the omission of the word child. This is a hallmark risk of spiritual and ritual abuse, where harmful behavior is justified through religious or moral frameworks, often silencing victims. I would argue that this is not exactly ritual abuse. You know, like SRA, it's not the same. Scientology's belief system teaches that we are all immortal spiritual beings that have lived thousands of lives, and as such, children are considered adults in little bodies. This has led to multiple cases of child neglect, basically all the kids. Systemic. Like Andrews and Thornton was covering in the Mormon CSA lawsuit, like that. Child neglect, abuse, and mistreatment within the church, according to former members. Many of those members were children. Studying Scientology, according to founder L. Ron Hubbard, allegedly, allows you to unlock your innate godlike powers. Apparently, he never was able to do that, though. Ultimately taking responsibility for every aspect of your life and environment. In his witness statement, Massimo Angius wrote, "It is a core principle of the Scientology religion that transgressions against others and causing harm to others is the primary reason for spiritual degradation. Scientology teaches that spiritual advancement is only achieved by not transgressing against or causing harm to others, and indeed is only achieved by those who actively help others." It stops short of explaining the Scientology concept of pulling it in. It's victim blaming, basically. where victims of abuse are interrogated and punished for the role they played in allowing it to happen to them. Funny how all the churches do the exact same thing. And the ones that are the gatekeepers, like the bishops in the Mormon church, they're all doing the same things. Funny how that works, isn't it? It does, however, describe a case of child sexual abuse that resulted in prosecution. Well, one win for us. The victim was given pastoral support and auditing to help her to deal with the incident, including her own guilt about what had happened. The document states. I'm not sure why that's included here 3 times, but, it's important. On whether staff are vetted before given access to children. No, there's no vetting, none. I can tell you guys that. Angus says children may participate in Scientology services. Isn't it interesting how they always word this stuff? I'm going to say what he said again. Of course, it's a male, it's not a woman. Children may participate in Scientology services, but only with signed parental consent. Well, right away, they're trying to pass any guilt for the CSA onto the parents, which I think the parents have a lot of blame in this, but it's always illegal with them. These children have no say over what happens in their lives at all. No free will. They're used, and I'm adding this. I believe these children, not only in Scientology, are used as currency. Absolutely. These can consist of auditing or courses. Also, too, we have to add that the parents have to pay for those courses and auditing that the children do. And because this is an insular environment, which means, excuse me, it's all enclosed and isolated intentionally. That's how they keep Scientology going. The parents are under, they're in fairy tale land too. But I always wonder, at what point does any of these folks have some type of parental instinct? And I do know a lot of them do fight to try to see their kids. And a lot of these parents have basically had their children stolen away from them, kidnapped through the legal system. We've never seen that before in our society, have we? And I have been screaming about the guardianships. And what did the video with Andrews and Thornton? Well, they didn't go into detail about it, but there was a little, very light talk about the guardianships, of course. While auditing may occur one-to-one in specialized rooms, let's also remember that the auditing is interrogation. Just like Charlie Igloo Alpha, almost like they helped to create this Scientology. But, details. In specialized rooms, these sessions are monitored by video link by a case supervisor. What did Serge Delmar talk about all the time? All these assaults and grooming of the children is videotaped, as well as the sexual questions that children are asked in the auditing sessions that mommy and daddy are paying for. More recently, we have started doing DBS checks. Trustees and staff who have worked, staff like children, who have worked closely with children have had checks since about 2002. Isn't that, that sounds really nice, doesn't it? We have a target to do the DBS check on all staff. He's basically saying they're doing a pedo check, which we all know is not happening. However, because the auditing of minors, children, in this fashion only occurs infrequently, right, and is supervised by a case supervisor. Does anyone like ex-Scientologists know if the case supervisors are kids? I know Nora at one point, wasn't she? No, she was an instructor. I'm just wondering. There's not been a requirement to date, of course not, for auditors or case supervisors to have a DBS check or to undergo specialized training on working with children and child protection. Isn't this great, you guys? TY Survival Rundown. That's another one that I have to look into. Scientology regularly promotes its courses to children. Of course they do. That's their currency. Remember Jan Eastgate, who covered up the child essay abuse and coached a child and the child's mother to lie about it? I believe she's still in charge of the, what's that organization? CCHR or something? Our safeguarding expert, you guys know what I think about that word, tells us, I'm deeply concerned by the significant risks highlighted in the report. The Church of Scientology's internal safeguarding systems are entirely self-governed. Of course they are, just like the Mormons, just like the King's tribe, just like Children of God, just like all of these other ones. The Church of Scientology's internal safeguarding systems, there's no safeguarding, are entirely self-governed, lacking independent oversight, with minimal engagement from statutory services. Yeah, which all these agencies are fine with. Children are involved in one-to-one spiritual practices like auditing. Especially when they're told to loosen up their zipper when they're sitting in the auditing room. Or for the female young girls, they often are told to loosen up their bra. Isn't that great? Everyone's signing off on it. Children are involved in one-to-one spiritual practices like auditing without the protection of enhanced DBS checks or specialist training, a serious breach of safeguarding norms. Auditing as a trauma response is particularly troubling as it bypasses evidence-based therapeutic approaches and may re-traumatize survivors. Trauma-based mind control, anybody? Trauma-based mind control, anybody? The framing of safeguarding as ethics diminishes its legal and moral urgency. Ultimately, any setting, religious or otherwise, that investigates itself, restricts information sharing, and fails to embed external safeguarding standards is not safe for children or vulnerable adults. We must be willing to name these patterns as institutional and spiritual abuse risks and challenge the normalization of secrecy cloaked in moral or religious language. Scientology continued to provide events and courses targeted at children in the United Kingdom and everywhere else, particularly at their Sussex headquarters, where regular flyers are sent to parents, promoting the next generation, taking steps on Hubbard's bridge to total freedom. In April, St. Hill hosted a community Easter egg hunt And during their annual IAS event last year, children were seen entering and leaving the property unsupervised after dark. St. Hill are required to submit a child protection plan to Mid-Sussex District Council ahead of any major event, but failed to do so without prompting last year. You can read the full statement given by Scientology's legal officer to the UK Independent Inquiry on child abuse below. Alex is doing some really good work, so if you want to go check out his blog at Scientologybusiness.com. I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night, wherever you are. Peace.